Being able to direct a conversation, have good segue skills is really underrated. Yeah, and it's hard. Like, it's hard. I'm not at all saying that like casting is easier or something like that. Cause I've had shows where like I'm not the host, someone else is the host, and like maybe I'm doing some of their role or whatever. And like it takes off so much pressure to not have to do that. Like to not host. Like people have no idea what's going on a broadcast for the most part, like with a host. Like you're constantly listening to what the producers are saying. They're telling you to like throw to this, talk about this sponsor, talk about this deliverable. Okay, we've got the next slide coming up, like talk about this, or let's change the subject so we can start going in this direction, or like it's so much. And like if your casters answer a question and then they stop talking, like that dead air is on you. If there's dead air, it's on you. You fill the dead air. So like if you don't have a question in your brain already like formed while they're talking, like you're fucking up. Like you ask a question, the people on the desk are answering it, and while they're talking, not only am I trying to listen to what they say so that I can respond in a way that makes sense, but I'm also trying to come up with the next thing to talk about. So like there'll be times when like I haven't thought of something by the time that they're done. So I'll literally just be like, I'll just like start talking, and then hopefully I come up with some kind of question while I'm talking. It can be really stressful sometimes. Like literally. Like, oh my gosh, yeah, thank you so much for that point. Well, anyways, if you're just now tuning in, blah, blah, blah. Like sometimes I'll feel like that if I'm not quite sure what I want to like throw to next. You know what I mean? If we're just filling time. Start a sentence and hope for an ending. Yeah, literally. Like I'm much better at it now, but good God, when I first started, it was really scary. And I think something that like, actually, I think LWIW is like doing a segment on this, on how to cast or something. But a mistake that I did when I first started, and then I think a lot of people, I was gonna say this to Hula actually, because she did this when she was hosting the panel recently, but it is like not helpful to write out full sentences and just read out what you're gonna say, because you're gonna sound very robotic, and then you're also gonna like lose track of what you say, and it just doesn't really allow your brain like room to breathe when you're talking. It's way better to just like do bullet points of like the points that you want to hit. So like if I have a segment, if I have an opener of a show and I need to get through like a certain amount of deliverables, and I need to like introduce the casters, and I need to talk about the matches, instead of like writing out in full sentences like, hey everyone, my name is Aya. Welcome to AWC Dragonflight Cup number 2. It's Friday. We're going to go through North America, and then we're going to go through Europe. Instead of writing that all out in a sentence, I'll write like, hello, introduce casters, and then like, you know, schedule. And then if it's like a giveaway, like giveaway, whatever, like bullets. It's way easier to do that. I feel like I see people do that a lot when they first start, is like full sentences. I learned that in a speech class in college, actually. Speech 101. I took speech 101. Shockingly, I was really good at it. I got an A. I was really good at speeches. Who would have thought that would come in handy one day? It's good to feel authentic, but I want to hit all the points. It's hard too. It's hard. Yeah, well, that's a good way to do it if you want to hit all the points. Like if there's something specific you have to talk about, like don't write it in a sentence. Like let's say, you know, Alienware is doing a giveaway for something on Twitter. If you go follow them on Twitter, like don't write out the full like Alienware is giving away a computer to the people that follow you on Twitter. Literally just write like Alienware Twitter giveaway or something, and like make sure you know what that says, obviously. And then with more practice, you'll be able to look at those bullets and be able to like naturally convey what that means in an authentic way without stuttering too much. Like when I first started, I don't know how to explain it, but I just felt like I was never thinking. Like I was so nervous and so frantic. I was never like, my brain wasn't thinking. It was just like word vomit. But now it's like I can talk and think at the same time. I can talk and listen to the producer at the same time. Like I actually have this crazy thing that I can do that producers, I've gotten complimented on a few times from like producers, but I can like listen to someone. I don't know how I can do this, but because I literally have a hearing disorder, but the hearing disorder is more about like interpreting language. But I can listen to someone talk and say what they're saying at the same time. So like sometimes I'll have a producer in my ear like saying something, and I'll just start talking because I'll be able to repeat exactly what they're saying while they're still talking. I'm decent at public speaking, but I cannot listen and talk at the same time. That one's a hard one. I can't always do it. If the producer is good, they know to either like not talk to you in your ear while you're talking. They wait for you to like when you've thrown a question, or B, it'll be like one thing. Sometimes I'll be like talking about something and it will be ready to go to break and they'll be like, okay, like throw to break. Like it'll just be throw to break in my ear. Not like, all right, when you're done talking, like let's throw to break. Like that's not gonna help me when I'm talking. Like a good producer will be like throw to break, or director or whatever, you know what I mean? You send questions to the casters beforehand, like heads up, I'm probably gonna ask you about this. Not normally, no. What I try to do is if I'm asking a question, I'll try to say their name early on in the question and then throw to them, rather than asking a question, rather than being like, oh, Luminosity Gaming, you know, they had some pretty rough offline games this weekend before heading into this cup. What did you think about that, Venricky? Like instead of doing that, be like, oh yeah, by the way, Ven, you know, Luminosity, they had these games during the weekend. Like, what did you think of that? And that way I'll get their attention. Like they should be listening already, but like they know when I say their name that I'm going to be throwing to them in like a couple of seconds. And that way they have a little bit of time to like create a question or an answer in my head or in their head. Sometimes like right before we open in a show, sometimes there's a lot of stuff to go over, you know, in the opener of a show, especially if it's like the first day of a new show or something. Like there's all kinds of stuff. There's a bulk of information usually in the beginning of the show. And sometimes if it's like going over something that might be a little bit more complicated, like for instance, Super Tease has been playing a lot of Preservation of Ochre, and so he knows a lot about it. And I knew that in the opener of the show for Cup number 1, I knew that I wanted to talk about Preservation of Ochre a little bit. So like right before we opened, I was like, hey, by the way, Sid, I'm gonna throw you some questions about, you know, evokers. And he was like, okay. Or, you know, if it's again like something complicated like the format, I'll kind of be like, let them know that I'm gonna do that so they know to like know that pretty well. Or sometimes if I'm working with new people and I don't know where their expertise are, I don't want to ever, the last thing I want to do as a host is to throw someone a question that they're not prepared for and they're not going to be able to give them a good answer, because I don't want to set up a co-caster for failure, right? So before I throw a question like, hey, like what's the best, you know, talent build for a fire mage or something, right? Like I want to make sure that the person that I'm asking that question to is going to be able to like answer that in a meaningful way and not like look stupid. I don't want to make them look stupid. So if I don't know this person and I want to throw them questions like that, I definitely want to like check beforehand that they're going to be able to answer it. You know what I mean? Who's been your favorite co-caster to commentate with? I really like casting with Makes and Nagura. That is like my favorite desk ever. We like vibe so well. Has there been a time where you felt like hopefully it ends soon due to lack of synergy with the person you were on stage? Yes. Yeah, I had to do a show once where it was like a pretty long segment with one guy that was like kind of new, and he was like, he made like actually a really weird joke at me. He made like kind of a gross joke, I remember. And he was constantly like talking over me, interrupting me, would kind of ramble, like that was a rough one for sure. I wish I was able to catch more of the girl boss desk. Yeah, it's fun. No, I don't think I'll ever be an expert. Hopefully I will never think that I am like done learning and done growing as a commentator. Is there any of the casters I look up to? A ton. I actually originally wanted to get into commentating because of somebody named Gillyweed. Two women, but mostly Gillyweed. She used to do Heroes of the Storm, and I was like, oh my god, I want to do that. I mean, I knew of her, and then I was at BlizzCon. I was working BlizzCon as like a stat producer and an admin and a observer, and I was in the same like bus because they were like chauffeuring Blizzard like employees and contractors from the hotel to the venue, and I was in the same bus as Gillyweed, and I just kind of heard her talking. She's like, yeah, I'm like casting this weekend, blah blah blah, and I was like, holy fuck, this girl is so cool. And then I just like had this idea in my head. I was like, damn, I want to do that someday. And I never thought I'd actually have the opportunity, but yeah. So I look up to her. I look up to Smix was another one that like early on was really inspiring for me. I look up to Sombi a lot in Overwatch League. Seltzer Please. Frankie is a big one. I think Ovally is really good at what she does. Jess Brohard did a lot for me early on in my career. She used to do sideline reporting for CDL. Actually, back then it was CWL. But she let me like shadow her for a day during one of her shows and gave me a lot of advice and support. But no, there's a lot of people I look up to. Shocks, yeah. Zombie Grub, Shiver, I think she's amazing. Lemon Kiwi, love Lemon Kiwi. I'm really happy for her. I would love to do Overwatch League. There are 2 games that I want to get into someday that I would love to do. Call of Duty and Overwatch. Like I would love to do either of those. Shooters. I used to play a good amount of Call of Duty and I just love their show. I don't know, they just do a really good job of it. Like it's an interesting show. I feel like it's always fresh. I would do CSGO. I would be fine to do like a sideline reporting or something for CSGO. But Frankie's kind of got that covered. But to be fair, like, you know, CDL has got lots of talent too. There's like no room for me in either of those shows, even if I ever would get the chance to do it. But CSGO is rough to get into. Yeah, they're all rough to get into. I don't have an agent either. I should get an agent. It's actually like so stupid that I don't have an agent. And I think I've like pigeonholed myself a little bit because, at least this is my theory, this might be pure copium. I used to like get a lot of offers to do smaller shows from other games and stuff. And then I don't know what happened, but it just stopped. Like it just stopped randomly. I don't know why. And I wonder if it's just because of like my size now and the fact that I'm like I'm like even more World of Warcraft based because I just like play it all the time. I don't know. Yeah, one of the segment ideas I brought up to them was to like talk about past AWC moments, like legendary moments or plays or something, like a history thing, like, oh look, this, you know, this day in WoW history or something like that. I don't know. I worked this show except I was behind the stage. I was back here.
We already saw yesterday, and it was incredibly close. We have the Waz versus...
See, look. Competitor. I don't know if he's ever competed, but he's rank 1. Like, this... And then me. His hair was insane. I mean, the Ghost Crew. Look, that's my boyfriend, guys. At this point, you can that's Ethan. Tell that the passion is there. They've got the thrill, they've got the comps, they've got the surprise. They just need to keep their energy levels. Actually, this is my. You know what's funny that this was a great show. I was stat producer for this show, so I was actually outside in like a truck because they put production out there. And I was so hyped because this is when they sent out all the Europeans out of the tournament 7 years ago. Oh my god, was I working this show? The team leader, he's got some God, look at experience on their team. Look at Subatees. He looks so different, dude. No, I was not in this show, by the way. I wasn't even involved. Okay, see, look. This is what I mean. Even the stage host, dude. They hired a stage host. It's freaking Bajira. Like, the standards are gonna be always, oh, why don't we have rank 1 players? Because that's all they've ever hired. No, I love Bajira, let me just say. But what I'm saying is, like, we've only ever had rank 1s. So now if you're not a rank 1, they're like, she's not even a rank 1. Back in the day, they were not actual hosts. That's actually not true because they had Sombi doing stuff. They had hosts. WoW just didn't have hosts.
Shrink it and just catch him in a smoke bomb killing spree. And
look, healing stat. He's right there. Look at him. It's so weird to see him as a player. Wait, did he do an interview?
From across the stage.
I need to see it. I need to see it if Adrian did an interview.
And that's exactly what I was talking about. One of the things Cubsy did prior against when they played against Jamil's.
Wait a minute. All right, see this guy? Did you see this guy? I owe my whole career to this man right here. His name is David, or D-Machine. He started GCD TV. I started working for them, and then he was the one, he got hired by Blizzard, and then eventually gave me the chance to be a sideline reporter, so.
What is going on?
I like how even back then, Sid would just stare at the camera and like space out. Yeah, this is Josh Allen, this is Devlore.
Eventually the laughing stops. Yeah, the laughing stops, and I expect to see that in this next match.
Elliot looks literally exactly the same.
They play WS
I
very
feel like,
well.
right? He looks the same. Is that just me? His hair's a little different, but
represent the gameplay.
Okay, we're gonna go watch. We're gonna watch a healing stat interview.
All the teams throughout the tournament.
he's like staring at one lens, and then he notices that the camera switched. He's like, Okay, I'm gonna stare at this one now.
But it's really awesome to just see how
what a
each region
glow up.
stacks.
Hey guys, welcome back to the analyst station, and I am joined by HealingStat, aka Talby, the captain of the victorious skill-capped EU, and also
so
the America. So
this is literally it.
Hey
this
guys.
is look, it's my friend Pauline. I love her. All right, this match was so good.
Rub Cup
so
as soon
fun.
as they saw it, so
on Yellow Beans.
Wait, did Zico say jelly beans? Is that how he's pronouncing Jelly's
that's the
name? Because
question.
that's funny.
From
Jelly beans.
almost not even qualifying for regionals, he was being really low on the point qualifications, you know, going into regionals.
Look,
and
guys,
having
it's
Blizzo,
Elbreth.
And then all of a sudden they were just
It's
rocking their
Elbreth.
way up the point totals.
On Yellow Beans during the traps.
There, look. Ah, there's Ethan. Look at him.
During the crucial moments, we try to stop those crowd controls. So we're gonna have to see if
This was such a hype team, dude. Rosita, Rub Cub, Jelly Beans, and Pika. This is a fun team. Like, the move is obviously great, but this is like... This was also a great roster.
we can kind of repeat that.
Fabs is barely hanging on this entire game, down to 10%, trying to get away from the onslaught. Portal's at 5%. They're in hot pursuit and taken. No way. Going home to Panda Global.
The scariest team in the world. The king has.
Oh, wait. I'm literally so dumb. It was Wallabear and Jelly. Peekaboo came in later.
The scariest
Duh.
team in the world. The king has been dethroned. This is
Okay, this is my favorite interview ever. And this was such a huge deal because Triforce was like expected to win. Like, they had won multiple BlizzCons as that roster. And they didn't even get second place. They didn't even make it to the grand finals. Like, this is them getting knocked out. Like, this was so hype. Yeah, that's Ethan. That's Elbreth. Ethan worked at Blizzard as an admin. Okay, so Ethan was contracted by Blizzard. Because Ethan's background, like my background, is we both worked for a group called GCD TV that made arena tournaments, like third party, but like affiliated arena tournaments. Some of them ended up being like qualification cups for like the official AWC cups. And they contracted GCD TV to admin their tournaments as well as like observe. We also eventually started observing MBI. So like not an employee, but and I was working as well for GCD TV. You can't see me because I'm like back in the production room doing stats producing for this show, and I was flipping out in the truck. This is like my favorite person ever. Joey is literally so fucking nice.
Oh,
and this is such a good interview.
My goodness, what just happened on this stage? Probably one of the most insane upsets I've ever seen in my 3 years being here at
So look at his skin. Flawless.
BlizzCon with World of Warcraft. So, let's put it in perspective. You guys pulled off probably, like I said, one of the most unexpected, you know, come from behind underdog story victories we've ever seen. How did you guys just do that?
Mongo. That's it. Run at a guy, attack him until he dies.
Well, it worked. It worked. All right, so now that you guys have knocked off probably what was considered to be, you know, the favorite team to win BlizzCon, what are your chances?
We're gonna fucking win.
Now, maybe this isn't even a question that needs to be asked, but you guys do see...
I think he maybe got in trouble back then too, but I think like it was such a hype moment. I don't think anyone cared.
To have the crowd on your side. How much of a difference does that make for you guys?
I don't know.
It feels so amazing. I've never had a feeling this in my entire life. Like, thank you all so much. I'm like, literally, this is the highlight of my life.
Aww.
Well, take your moment, enjoy. Thank you guys so much for showing our NA teams love. Let's throw it back to Rich and get the second semifinal game going. Let's go.
Good moment. Good moment. We love Joey. And then they lost. They went on to lose, but it was a great moment. Second place, not bad. I think this, by the way, I think this is the tournament that I was a stage admin for. Look, there's me.
I think we don't know too much about Free Marcy. They have been pretty quiet about their strats, while other teams have been talking to us a lot. And
Yeah, it was hard too because I just tore my ACL, so I was still kind of recovering, and I like had to stand for this whole match, and I remember my feet started hurting at the end of this really bad. Baby Nagugu. And that's Mary.
You're kind of forced to just have here under the Talasar.
That's me.
Pretty much, it's a pretty open dungeon, but the affix is not too difficult either, except maybe teaming. But in all, like the whole dungeon pool that we have here under the Talasar and Tolagor, there's no affix that prevents them from doing really big.
Your job up there is to just make sure that like nothing breaks. And so I was making sure nothing was broken, and I was making sure that I didn't trip because my knee and my feet were really hurting. Well, you're checking that they don't cheat, but like the odds of them cheating are really unlikely. You're more so checking that like everything on stage with the players is like going okay. So you're kind of like the communication between the players and production and stuff like that. So. It sucks they didn't give you a stool. They do sometimes, but there's just not a lot of room up there. Plus, like you can't really sit. Like and Mary's doing it too. I was just walking the line and just looking at all their computers, you know? Like you can't really sit.
That just a bit. They can get
no, that's not me. The other person behind the other team is me. Right here. I think I just got rid of this hoodie. I think I still have the shirt, but I had the hoodie and I got rid of it. Do I keep in touch with any of the staff? Well, I talked to Ethan a lot. No, I talked to Mary. She's around still. Honestly, like the team that does this, most of the people I feel like are still around. Do you want me to go shit on them? Look, I answered a question.
Young guys who are coming in and they're doing it for the first time in a venue of this
Aw, baby Aya.
So,
I miss Lands. Watching these VODs is just making me miss Lands. Always curious how that works. Be honest, did you think I want to cast when you were there? I did, actually. I did, in the back of my head. So I'll say this. So when I was working as an admin, I knew that I loved what, and so I did a couple of different things. I did observing, and I was an admin, so like this kind of stuff. So like, you know, enforcing rules, communicating with the players, blah blah blah. And I was also a stats producer, and the stats producer, like my job was to just I helped develop a program that kept track of the stats on the broadcast. Like the win-loss ratio and stuff. And while I knew that I loved WoW esports and working in WoW esports, I never really felt that in any of those roles. I mean, I feel like I was pretty good at observing, but I never really felt like I was that good at them. I wasn't bad at them, but I just felt like nothing was really playing to my strengths, and I didn't feel like I was contributing in a way that felt meaningful or like you know what I mean? I just never felt quite right. And in the back of my head, I was always like, man, that would really be fun to like host or interview people or be involved in more of like the creative side of things. Never, ever, ever did I think I would get the opportunity. It was kind of just like a, haha, that'd be cool kind of thought one day. I did know that I wanted to find something that fit more for me. Well, it took a while, Jordan. I felt really like a fish out of water for a long time. And I obviously am feeling that again, but that'll subside, I'm sure. But when I first started, I knew that I loved it, but I knew that I like wasn't comfortable with it for like probably a full
really
year.
To see how they settle it.
I felt like that. I felt like that for a long time. Like when I started working in esports, like I didn't even know if it was going to be permanent for a long time. Like I kind of thought when I first started, especially, I was like, oh yeah, this is just temporary until I find something in my degree. Like it felt temporary for a really long time. Even here, I didn't really see it as a career. I was just like doing it for fun kind of thing. I mean, I made shit money. Like I was contractor and I was barely getting paid. It was just kind of fun. So, you know, I know it's a bit vain to sit here and watch a VOD of myself admitting, but it's cool. It's cool to see. I don't think I've ever watched this. Dude, you can tell my feet are hurting. Look at me. I'm like pacing. Except it's esports scene. Well, I am always here, gamer, if you have questions. I feel like I have a good take on the history. I mean, I've been working in the WoW esports scene since like 2016, which like in the grand scheme of things isn't that long, but have you ever watched the finals for the first DPC? Yeah, I have. It used to be in like a giant, like a hallway with just like tables. It was crazy. It's been through some iterations for sure.